Okay, we were just listening to officials out there on Long Island addressing the media and identifying another victim that had been found in the Gilgo Beach area, a person who they had initially identified as Fire Island Jane Doe. We now know the identity of this person. It was 34-year-old Karen Vergata, who went missing back in 1996. And today they now have made that identity known. Let's bring in NBC News correspondent Ron Allen, who's been monitoring all of this for us and following the case, as well as MSNBC legal analyst Danny Cevallos. Let's start with Ron and just Ron, talk about the significance of this development when it comes to the larger case. As we've all been following very closely, there's a suspect tied to 4 deaths and 4 victims found on Gilgo Beach.
Right. And all told, there are as many as 11 sets of remains in the general area of Gilgo Beach. The Gilgo Beach 4 women were close together. The others were found some distance away. But over the years, this has all been seen as one unsolved, huge, awful mystery, perhaps connected to one serial killer. This woman was known as also Jane Doe number 7, I believe. And as you reported, she went missing as far back as 1996. The authorities just said that using advanced DNA analysis, which has progressed during the years, they are now able to identify this woman. She lived in Manhattan. She was an escort. Many of the women who were found dead have been described as escorts or sex workers. They say there's no suspect in this particular case. They didn't want to answer questions about it. They described it as a confidential investigation, which is an odd term to use, I would think, as they're trying to solve it. But the bottom line is that this case, they have an identity. They have this individual, this woman, Karen Verduga, who was 34 years old when she went missing in 1996. And so far, they have not connected it to the other cases involving a suspect, a man named Rex Heuermann, who was 59, an architect who lived not far from the area where the remains were found. He has been charged with 3 counts of first-degree murder, 3 counts of second-degree murder in the deaths of 3 women. He was arraigned earlier this week. He is being held without bail. There are a lot of questions about whether he will be connected and charged in the death of a 4th woman, where he has been named as a suspect. There's been no indication that he is connected to any of the other sets of remains. But of course, this is a very rapidly moving investigation right now. You saw that huge number of investigators and police, FBI, state, local. They have poured a tremendous amount of resources into this. And in court the other day, they said that they have essentially a mountain of evidence against the suspect. DNA analysis, something else they are trying to develop further. One thing they want to do now is try to get a DNA sample from the suspect, from Heuermann. The only DNA that we believe that they have is pieces of a pizza crust that he discarded from his lunch just before he was arrested, that the investigators were able to retrieve from a garbage can in Midtown Manhattan, which is another of the astounding aspects of this investigation in terms of how they've connected him. But they also have hours and hours of video surveillance from his home, from his office. You saw the extensive amount of searching that went on at the family's residence. They essentially dug up the backyard. They tore up parts of the house. There's a piece of a bathtub that was removed. The family, I should point out, his adult children and his wife are complaining about the condition that their house was left in. But authorities are saying, well, you can file a complaint if you want, but they are determined to get as much evidence as they can against this individual, who they have been looking for at least 13 years and perhaps longer, if in fact he is connected to this case that may date back as far as 1996.
And so, Danny, they have an identity of this Jane Doe, but they're saying no comment on a suspect here. What's your takeaway?
I think the point is now is to identify the suspects, do a press conference on who you've plainly identified, because you're going to be notifying the victims, yes, and then continue the investigation. But they made it very clear that they're just keeping that separate, the identification of the victims, and talking a little about the technology, IgG, investigative genetic genealogy, which is like an emerging technology, at least in criminal justice. It really is, it represents a huge advance from the old traditional STR, short tandem repeat, which was much simpler profile that you would upload to CODIS, a government database. The modern version of this uploads it to a database that people use, for example, to search their genealogical profile, and then law enforcement creates a family tree. So it's a lot more than the old days when you would just upload it to a database and look for a match. Now you have to do some additional investigating, building a family tree, sometimes from things like social media.
There are all these different puzzle pieces that are starting to fill in when it comes to the broader investigation into all these deaths, right? And discovery of up to 11 victims that, who knows, could be all tied, maybe not, but they have for sure tied together 3 of the victims, and they've named Rex Heuermann a suspect in that. He's charged with those murders, and so we have this new development today about wanting a DNA swab from him. My question to you, Danny, is they already said they connected him by DNA from the pizza crust. If they have it, why do they need another swab?
Well, they always want a swab from the suspect himself, a confirmed swab, because don't forget, the pizza crust swab or the pizza crust DNA lifted, there could always be a defense argument that, hey, how do you know that's my guy? You say you know it's my guy, but what that will do is really create some bedrock evidence if you have a swab from the defendant, which is pretty common practice a lot of times, increasingly so, just to get that swab. That will be surefire evidence later on, difficult to challenge if you can match that swab you take that you know is from the defendant and match it to something at the scene. It's really just about redundant evidence, belt and suspenders, making sure they have the best possible case if they're going to proceed against this defendant.
Does he have to give a swab, or can he reject them?
He does. He does, and they get a court order if he does not. But they will obtain that swab, I'm sure. And they can get it a number of other ways, but ideally through a swab.
Got it. Danny Cevallos and Ron Allen, thank you both.